Welcome back, my fellow comic book friends, to Comic Casper, and the year is pretty much done, and therefore I want to tell you about my top 10 collected edition comic books that I got to read in the year 2023. But please be mindful, these are not necessarily comic books that released this year, these are pretty much the ones that I got to experience. So let's kick it. At number 10, I've got X Lives and Deaths of Wolverine, the oversized hardcover, written by Benjamin Percy with art by Joshua Cassara and Federico Vicentini. This one took me by surprise, Percy dropping an exciting story filled with high energy that follows up on Jonathan Hickman's Inferno. Filled with twists, turns, and plenty of slicing and dicing, this story is fast-paced, intense, and lets the events unfold without getting bogged down with unnecessary dialogue. The story feels like it took inspiration from Inception, but with enough unique flavor to be its own thing. Wolverine is fighting a battle on two fronts, reminiscent of a military maneuver known as the pincer movement, converging on the enemy from both sides. This 10-issue story composed of two titles, that being X Deaths of Wolverine and X Lives of Wolverine, delivers on tons of violence, intense action that will get your pulse racing and jaw dropping. It delivers right through to the finish line, feeling like one of the more expansive Wolverine stories in recent years. Batman 3 Jokers. This is the Absolute Edition written by Jeff Johns and artwork by Jason Fabok. Without a shadow of a doubt, this has some of the most stunning artwork presented within a Batman comic, and experiencing this in an absolute format feels insane. The massive pages jump out at you, and accompanied by John's captivating writing makes for one hell of an adventure. There is a great level of mystery in this 3-issue miniseries, and I love how succinct and jam-packed these issues were. It was great seeing the depiction of the 3 types of Jokers we had seen over the years going up against our Bat family team of Barbara, Jason, and Bruce. 3 Jokers commits to an ultimate examination of the Joker and his never-ending conflict with Batman, whilst at the same time we get an examination into Red Hood and Batgirl, and how they run in with the Joker has impacted their psyche over the years. 3 Jokers is worthwhile reading not just for die-hard Batman fans, but anyone even remotely interested in the character and his long rivalry with the Joker. Kick-Ass. The hardcover editions 1, 2, 3, and the Prelude Hit Girl, written by Mark Millar with artwork by John Romita Jr. This was an exceptional emotional roller coaster. Kick-Ass follows the life of a teenager called Dave Lazarus, who fantasizes about being a hero in a world where you simply don't see superpowered masked vigilantes making headlines. Dave is a young man who is infatuated with comic books, and perhaps not the most popular individual in high school, and is eventually filled with enough determination to take up the mantle of a real-life hero called Kick-Ass, patrolling the streets in search of all things evil, getting his ass kicked along the way, whilst putting up a good fight here and there. Millar tackles the concept of a feasible real-life superhero comic exceptionally. It feels like the perfect amalgamation of reality and entertainment. The series has its fair share of dark moments that will fill you with dread and disgust, but ultimately delivers with a satisfying conclusion that I will look back on for years to come. The Venomnibus by Donny Cates, with artwork from Ryan Stegman, Ivan Coelho, Mark Bagley, and others. This was a fun and thrilling ride, taking our favorite symbiote into uncharted territory, spawning a pretty wild event called the King in Black, and giving us a memorable villain called Null. The series moves at a breakneck pace from the very first issue, delivering on an expansive story, taking the character of Eddie Brock and Venom to new heights, dramatically expanding the symbiote mythos in new and interesting ways. Even if you are remotely interested in the character of Venom, this is an adventure worthwhile jumping into. The artistic detail and imagination driven by Cates and Stegman is a little nightmare-inducing at times. It maintains a powerful, ominous tone, giving the saga a very cinematic look to it. This Venom omnibus is a beautiful package, and I can see myself revisiting this story and getting lost in the beautiful artwork over and over again. Dark Knight's Metal Omnibus, written by Scott Snyder with art by Greg Capullo, with contribution from many various writers and artists, bringing us a massive universe-spanning event. Snyder loves to deliver on a rich narrative that takes us readers on a fascinating journey, and this story is no exception. The landscape is carefully crafted by Capullo, and I found this to be a perfect recipe for an epic event. It really feels like history in the making, and this series makes the multiverse feel epic and important. I was amazed how deeply crafted the surrounding lore of this event was. The writers took their time to flesh out the forces of evil. You can tell the creative team were having a lot of fun with this event, and I had an absolute blast experiencing it. There are stunning character designs throughout these pages, and some of the greatest artists in the industry are thrown at this event. Here's hoping Dark Knight's Death Metal Omnibus proves to be a worthy follow-up. Killadelphia the Deluxe Edition. From Image Comics, written by Rodney Barnes with art by Jason Sean Alexander. The premise goes like this. A small-town beat cop comes home to bury his murdered father, the revered Philadelphia detective James Sangster Sr. He begins to unravel a mystery that leads him down a path of horrors that will shake his beliefs to the core. I was hooked with the very first issue, and it really stands out as one of the strongest series debuts out there in a long time. It is packed with emotion, human connection juxtaposed against urban horror, as the dark corners of Philadelphia are filled with vampires. We simply couldn't ask for a better art style. Alexander delivers on this hazy, dark, and yet photorealistic visuals which make Barnes's writing all the more impactful. It has nuance and relevancy for its social commentary, but feels natural and timely. But it's the terror that lies beneath the story that kept chilling my bones. Do a Powerbomb, the trade paperback. Another story published by Image Comics, written by Daniel Warren Johnson, who also delivers on the explosive artwork. This has one of the wildest setups for a story, and I love it. Lona Steel Rose wants to be a pro wrestler, but she's living under the shadow of her mother, the best to ever do it. Everything changes when a wrestling-obsessed necromancer asks her to join the grandest pro wrestling tournament of all time, which is also the most dangerous. It's the wrestler meets Dragon Ball Z in a tale where the competitors get more than they ever bargained for. It really is lovingly written and masterfully drawn, regardless if you are a wrestling fan or not. This is a must-read for its insanely over-the-top action, startling twists, and a heartwarming story that delivers right to the very end, hitting harder than any of these phenomenal wrestling moves. Daredevil, the oversized hardcover, Volume 3. Written by Chip Zdarsky with gorgeous visuals provided by Marco Checchetto. Just like much of the series, this volume is outstanding, so much so I committed myself to waiting for the omnibus before finishing reading the whole Zdarsky run. It's stylish, well-written, and an essential turning point for one of Marvel's most impressive series. It's no secret Zdarsky started Daredevil with a bang, and 3 hardcovers in, and I continued to be blown away by this carefully crafted saga. Our protagonist, Matt Murdock, continues to struggle with how best to appease his sense of justice, the internal conflict proving to be just as vital as the need to push back on the encroaching evil sprawling every corner of Hell's Kitchen. Checchetto's art style has cemented itself as one of my favorite over the years, and I hope he gets the opportunity to pencil many more great runs in the near future. Zdarsky and the team have taken the characters of Daredevil and lifted them to whole new levels, and this run is a must-read to all Daredevil fans, all Marvel fans, and let's be honest, all comic book fans. Lazarus, the first collection, published by Image Comics, written by Greg Rucka with art by Michael Lark. I really didn't know what to expect from this blind buy, but I am so glad I decided to pick this up. The story is set in a dystopian near future. Government is a quaint concept, resources are coveted, and possession is 100% of the law. A handful of families rule, jealously guarding what they have and exploiting the waste, which is what poor people are referred to in this future. I know, it's horrible. Who struggle to survive in their domains. Forever Carlyle, our main character, defends her family's holdings through deception and force as their protector, their Lazarus. This is a very well done comic, hitting all the right notes. The world building is astounding, and each issue sets up the long-term conflict, masked in science fiction but inspired by the devastatingly increasing amount of lack of resources in the world. Rucka and Lark have begun an important story with haunting images and a compelling narrative that continues to resonate in my mind and transcends the pages into how our world could be shaped in years to come. Wealth and power, family and morality, feudalism and a young woman who can take a bullet, or a few, and lay waste to her enemies in return. 7 to Eternity takes my top spot. This is the deluxe edition written by Rick Remender, published by Image Comics with art by Jerome Opena. The story hit me pretty hard, and unexpectedly so. The premise is so unique and fascinating, and it goes something like this. The God of Whisperers has spread an omnipresent paranoia to every corner of the kingdom of Zal. His spies hide in every hole, spreading mistrust and fear. Adam Osiris, a dying knight from a disgraced house, must choose between joining a hopeless band of magic users in their desperate bid to free their world of the evil god, or accepting his promise to give Adam everything his heart desires. Opena delivers some breathtaking visuals from page to page and does not miss a beat. The only painful experience is the exclusion of Opena on 2 of the issues in the entire run. This breaks up the stunning visual experience. I almost wish those 2 issues were redrawn by Opena so we could transform this nearly perfect visual experience into a perfect one. The 17-issue series is all jam-packed in this beautiful deluxe edition. The story will suck you in, grind you into oblivion, and spit you out. I commend Remender on his ability to shake me to the core, take me on an unforgettable journey, and deliver on a finale so eloquently. 7 to Eternity is a story that will stay with me for years, if not for life. I'm grateful to have experienced it in 2023, despite the slew of wonderful collected editions I got to read this year. I believe this title is worthy of my top spot, and I highly recommend it to all my comic book friends. Well, there you have it, my comic book friends. That is my top 10 list of collected edition comic books for this year, 2023. And I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite collected edition for 2023? Let's talk in the comments. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and hit it with a like if you enjoyed it and a dislike if you hated it. And I'm sorry if your comic book didn't make it to my list. There's a good chance I haven't read it yet. Anyway, I'll catch you next time.